Hi everyone and welcome to my September Plan With Me video. And today I'm super excited to share with you my new monthly bullet journal setup. Let's jump right into it because this theme took me way too much time to finish. Some of you probably know since I shared it on Instagram, but I really like how it all turned out. My theme for September is Woodland Animals or Forest. I'm looking forward to autumn or fall season, so I thought it's a perfect theme for it. Like always, we'll begin with the cover page. The first thing I did is to outline the September title with a fine liner since I'm gonna be using my Royal Talents gouache. These are opaque paints and the area where I sketched the title with a pencil will be covered, and I wanted to still at least see where it is so I don't have to re-sketch it. As always, I will link all the specific supplies I'm using on the description box below. I started painting the sky background with light blue, and there are birch trees on both sides of the frame. Since some of the elements here are symmetrical, I skipped some of the steps since I just did the same thing on the other side, and to also not make the video even longer. For all the paintings in this setup, I didn't go for a semi-realistic style this time, but instead I went for more cartoony style and just a tiny bit of detail. On the trees, I painted a large blob of yellow-green, then I painted the shadows randomly with 2 shades of green. The mid layer is a lighter shade and the top layer is darker. I also decided to repaint a bit of the sky on the trees. Adding a little bit more detail to them is by tapping small leaves extending on the edges of the shape. Onto the birch tree trunks, I painted the base with white, then layered and blended it with gray on top. The perspective of the trees in this illustration is we have a thicker trunk on the front and then the ones on the back are thinner. I will be adding some more later, but let's paint the details on the trunks first. I mixed brown and black for the color, but I guess it looked more black on the screen. There is no exact form for the details, but I just painted random horizontal and curvy lines. I also painted a few dark branches here and there, just as what I see on my reference photos. I will also link my references on the description box in case you would like to follow them for your own paintings. Like I said, I will be adding some more trunks behind, and this time they are even thinner and look like faded versions of the trees. Then I also added some leaves surrounding the trunks. Now moving on to the other half of the page, I am painting some bushes. Again, they are almost symmetrical here, and they don't necessarily have to mirror each other exactly, but yeah, this is what I pictured it to look like. I'm sticking with the cartoony style with this. I'm using 3 shades of green. I painted them like an abstract, and it was honestly an easier approach for me, though I also like the style where I use tapping techniques to create texture on nature paintings, which I will try to incorporate in the next paintings. But it's also nice to try or experiment other styles or just discovering other ways to paint the same subject. If this video was uploaded in real time, you can actually watch me giving myself a hard time leaving those branches of leaves untouched, because in the end, I didn't see the point of it. So if you're going to recreate this, just go ahead and paint it fully and just paint the branches on top. For a little bit of whimsical look, I also added some white dots around the bushes. Now I painted the ground with an olive green. Then I also added some shading as if some trees are covering some parts of the ground to make it look interesting and not just a flat ground. Since I'm using a lot of paint and constantly dipping my brush until it runs out of wet paint, It made me embrace this tricky nature of dry paint on the brush to add texture on the shapes. On the bottom left corner, I'm painting a log of wood to add more wood color to this illustration other than the white birch trees. I just painted a whole shape with brown and added the details with darker tones, especially on the middle through the bottom. I also added a little highlight on top and then surrounded the wood with grasses. I added more grasses here and I painted some soil on the empty parts of the ground and some traces of the fox's paws here and there. You heard me say fox, and that is what we're painting next. The fox is a playful one here in this scene and is also the main character of this cover page. So I'm starting with the lighter parts on the fox's body and the rest of its fur with orange. Using dark brown, I'm painting the darker features such as the ears, eyes, nose, lips, and the paws. I'm adding some details to the fur afterwards by just doing tiny strokes of brown color. Then I'm painting two yellow butterflies, one just on top of the fox's nose and the other one on the right side. This interaction must be so adorable to see in real life if there is. And then I painted the branches of leaves. It's almost not that visible since the bushes behind are also green, so I thought of adding yellow to the leaves in the end. The rest of the elements here, which I forgot to press record, are the red mushrooms, yellow flowers, and some blue leaves that I just invented. Don't worry, because I will be painting some more easy gouache mushrooms in the next spreads, so you will see the actual process. I'm just finishing this cover illustration with tiny grasses and yellow flowers around. And we are going back to the September header. I initially painted them with white, but I decided to make them colorful. I don't know if that's a good decision though. Anyway, that's it for my cover page. On the other side of the spread, I thought of using this as my calendar page. I actually wanted to do a few spreads only this month due to changes in my schedule, but it still took me forever to finish the video itself and the editing process. The entire footage takes a lot of space, but I'm working on my iPad since I don't have a good working laptop, so I had to edit them by batch. I was almost done with editing the clips, but something went wrong when I exported them. There was like an overlaying effect on the colors, so I had to start over. I figured out that it was because the start of the video was decoded many times as I tried to stitch everything, so the quality also degraded. That's a lesson learned for me for sure. Anyway, talking about the calendar, I painted this month for the header. I just made this quick layout using the Eco-Line brush pens by drawing solid boxes, dark brown for the days of the week, and green for the days. I thought it's a nice way to match the cover page. Then on top, I painted a little meadow with flowers and butterflies. I'm looking forward to September because it is my birth month. Almost everyone in my family celebrates their birthday, so next month is going to be eventful. That being said, I don't think I will need a bigger calendar because I only have birthdays to write on it. The way I celebrate my birthday is just like a normal day for me, but in some way, it still feels special because I feel like I successfully completed level 25 of my life. I am entering a new chapter and I'm just curious what it has in store for me. We are now in the second spread of this setup. The left page is for my focus and goals for September, and my habit trackers on the right side. I'm actually loving this colorful lettering for the titles. Just like I did on the gold section, I also painted colorful, thick lines as the backgrounds of my habit titles. I used washi tapes to create those straight lines. For the trackers itself, I used some of these scrapbooking paper from Stationery Pal. It is called Cottage Garden. I cut them according to the size I need and glued them on the page. And then using the vintage yellow zebra Sarasa gel pen, I drew the grid lines. Then I painted the habit tracker's title below. This spread has the biggest illustration in the whole setup. Though it would seem like a lot of work, it turned out to be one of my favorite spreads that I made in this notebook. So I started with painting tree trunks, and this time I painted brown ones along with white birch trees. Again, it is also mirroring the other side of the spread, so I hope you don't mind me showing only the process for one side because it will just be the same. On this part, obviously I didn't paint the birch trunk fully because I am painting a squirrel climbing on the brown tree trunk. I painted the body first with cream color for the lighter parts and then burnt sienna for the veer. You can also see me painting strands of the veer so it looks more textured. The first stages of painting this girl honestly looked scary, but until I painted the eyes, it started coming together. After that, I just added more shadows to the areas that needs it, such as the head, shoulders, between the arm and leg, between the leg and tail, and then the tiny hair strokes. Moving on to the landscape, this is the same technique with the bushes we did from the cover page, but just an extended or a full spread version. And I also incorporated the tapping motion technique for the shadows, and it gave a subtle texture to them. I painted the ground the same way, but the composition now is the shaded areas are on the sides and the soil on the center. I also added the tracks of soil around. Then we have another log of wood on the left hand side and some plants and grasses. I thought it would be nice to partner the squirrel with another woodland animal, so I'm painting a rabbit on the side of the habit tracker page. I'm using light gray for the color, and since it almost has the same form as the squirrel, it was quite easier to paint it. I also thought it would be cute to add a carrot that he is holding on its mouth. We are finally done with this spread. I'm really loving the look of it as a whole, but now let's continue to the next page. I usually create a content planner in my setups, but this time I decided to change it into a content list page instead of doing another calendar to plan my posts and video content. And to also just plan my posting schedule digitally, which will be more practical as well, since nowadays I don't really look at my content calendar as much as I used to. So I have 3 sections, a list for Instagram, for YouTube, and other content related to-do lists. I also have a little section for tracking the growth of my social media accounts. And if you're not using content planning pages, you can also use this layout for your master to-do list or as a brain dump page. I am painting a little mushroom illustration on this section of my content list page. I chose to paint a rounded red capped mushroom covered in white warts. I started by painting the stem and under the cap of the smaller mushroom, and then on the cap themselves, I painted them with a rich red color. On the top part, I mixed more water to the paint to make it transparent and added a tiny bit of yellow. I added the shadows on the stem with gray as well as the line details under the small mushroom cap. Lastly will be the white warts. I just used white gouache and I tried to make the shapes very random and with different sizes. I painted the shadows underneath the warts as well with dark brown. I added some more elements like chubby grasses and branches of leaves, as well as falling autumn leaves and a butterfly. On the next page is my songs of the month. This is just a nice section for music. I write down some of the songs I enjoyed listening to in a particular month. This can also be a playlist page if you like to curate a list of songs you want to listen to. After I painted the title, I made 4 simple boxes with play buttons. I'm doing another painting on this page, and the scene is a hedgehog resting on a tree stump. I painted the tree stump first. There are a few cracks on it, which I painted with dark brown. I used the same color to add details to the other parts. I painted the ground with green as well and some small grasses. The hedgehog was the easiest animal to paint in this setup. Just like the other animals I already painted, I only needed 3 colors for it. And I would recommend using a small detailed brush when painting the spines. Then there are red mushrooms, branch of leaves, and tall grasses around too. Completing this illustration are falling leaves and green dots that I spontaneously added to fill the spaces. And that is my content list and songs of the month spread. Let's flip through and create the final pages of this setup, which are my weekly spreads. I'm doing weekly Dutch tours again for September. I went for a horizontal layout and I already cut them out. I'm including a small section here for my birthday wishes. I realized in the past I don't really wish something or like ask myself what's my birthday wish. Oh, the only thing I remember, and that was back in high school, I think I just wished for world peace. For real. I just celebrate in the simplest way. This time I want to try and write it out. It will be a good thing to look back on. Anyway, for the dailies, I decided to start with September 1st. I wrote the days incorrectly here. I wrote Tuesday instead of Thursday, and I usually start my weekly on Monday, but I guess I have to start with Sunday. I just noticed it while I was doing this voiceover. Good thing I didn't do the rest of it yet. But now let's do the final illustration. This scene is like a happy get-together of woodland animals in the heart of the forest. Just like our previous illustrations, there are trees and bushes in the background. I did the same composition in my sketchbook as a practice, and that actually inspired the idea of this theme. I posted in my community page before saying that I had a theme in mind, but I changed it. And I'm really happy that I went for this woodland theme instead. It made me get out of my comfort zone because I seldom paint animals. I painted a fox, rabbit, and hedgehog again, and I added a couple more animals like the fawn and skunk. I got the inspiration of the fawn and skunk from the Disney's animated film Bambi. Oh, I loved that as a kid, and I remember having a coloring book of it too. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I already got lazy on this part because I just wanted to finish the setup already. It was late at night when I filmed it. I was so slow with this, to be honest. But despite the laziness, I am still happy to have come up with these spreads, and I know I will enjoy using them. After finishing the animals, I just went back in to add those final details. Just a bunch of grasses, white flowers, and those white dots around the bushes. And that is finally it for this setup. I'm saying it again, I really like this whole theme. As someone who's being at home a lot, it's nice to have something about nature, even just through the form of illustrations, of art. I hope one day I could be more inspired when I get a chance to explore more of nature and the world. Actually, I'll write that on my birthday wish. I hope you enjoyed this September Plan With Me video, and don't forget to tap the thumbs up button. If you're new here and you would like to give me a virtual birthday present, subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me. Thank you all so much for watching. Have an amazing September and fall season. I will see you in my next one. Bye everyone.